Hello friends, welcome to Tarun. Today we will be discussing weekly based current affairs MCQ. So let's start with the first MCQ. Which of the following is correct regarding the Age of Consent Act 1891? We know that age of consent has been in news recently because of the verdict by the Karnataka Division Bench regarding the differentiation between the age of consent, which means the consent to the sexual activity, and differentiation between the age of marriage. So we'll not go into the depth of this debate. You can watch editorial on our channel for this, but we will restrict ourselves to the Age of Consent Act of 1891. So during the British colonial rule, we know that child marriages in India, they were prevalent, and because of this, there had been many instances where a child below the age of 10 years got married to an individual way more elder to her, and this led to the cases of death being reported among the younger girls. For example, in the Rakhmabai case, a 10-year-old girl child had got married to a 30-year-old man, and this led to the death of the girl on the nuptial night. This after several of such instances, this act was passed, which forbade the marriage of girls below the age of 12, and this act was passed during the Lord Lansdowne. And yes, this was opposed by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and it was supported by B.M. Malbari. These two statements are incorrect because we have been asked the correct statement, so A will be our answer. Now, why did Bal Gangadhar Tilak oppose this act? Because he was not against increasing the age of consent for the girls, but rather he was of the opinion that this effort should be of the Indian, and he saw this passage of the bill as interference in the rights and rituals of the people by the Britishers. So answer A is our correct answer, and I have already explained you this question. The next question of the day is regarding the National Bioenergy Program. Recently, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy had released this initiative, which is going to continue not for 10 years but for 5 years from year 2021 to 22 financial year to 2025 to 26. So this is not going to continue for 2030. This is an incorrect statement. And yes, it aims to support the large biogas, bio-CNG and power plants for the rural economy. Therefore, second statement is incorrect, and first statement is also incorrect because it is an initiative led by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and not by Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Thus, only 3 is our correct answer. So we'll choose our option accordingly. Since correct option have been asked regarding not the special operation but national bioenergy program. So therefore B is our correct answer because third was the correct statement. And this is the explanation. You can read it by pausing the video. I'll move on to the next question. The third question of the day is regarding the G20. We know that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is currently attending the G20 summit being held in November in Indonesia, Bali, and thus this troika is formed by Egypt, Indonesia and India, right? So now what happens? India is going to assume the G20 presidency from December 2022 onwards to November 2023, when the next G20 summit will be held. The first summit, now this G20, it was formed in the backdrop of the financial crisis in the East Asia, and yes, it was formed to ensure the global financial stability. So second is our correct answer, which sees representatives of the central bank of the concerned countries and the finance minister. The first summit, it did not take place in Saudi Arabia in 1999. However, Saudi Arabia is the member of G20 nations. It occurred in 2008 in Washington, D.C. in Washington DC in US. Therefore 3 is our incorrect statement and 1 and 2 is our correct statement. So because 1 and 2 is because incorrect statement has been asked, so C is our correct answer. The first summit took place in 2008, Washington DC. The fourth question is about the Middle East Green Initiative. So what is this Middle East Green Initiative? When we say green, that means it is something related with the climate change mitigation and adaptation, etc., etc. And because it is Middle East led, that means probably some initiative against the climate change in the West Asia. So yes, this is an initiative which is led by the Saudi Arabia, and it aims at, this is not the only aim. However, one of the aims of the initiative is to plant 50 billion trees across the Middle East region. And the next statement is it aims to build wall across, no, this is green corridor being built in the Sahel region, starting from the Senegal to Ethiopia. So the Senegal region, so this Senegal region is going to see a built of green wall, which will be formed by planting trees, basically by planting trees. Yeah, it is not a collaboration between the West Asian countries to build peace in the region. This statement partially refers to the Abraham Accord, but not any such new initiative to establish peace in the region has been initiated, and definitely it's not a deal between Saudi and US to mitigate the climate change. So A is our correct answer, and we'll mark our. So you can see A is our correct answer. It is a Saudi Arabia led initiative which aims to plant 50, not million, but sorry for this mistake, but billion of the trees. The fifth question is about the Cordyceps militaris. Now this Cordyceps militaris was in news because this mushroom has been combined with the gold nanoparticles to treat cancer and other ailments, and for efficient and fast drug delivery, basically for the drug delivery purpose. So this Cordyceps militaris is a form of a fungus. It's a form of a parasitic fungus, lab grown parasitic fungus. So it is a bilateral exercise between Indian Army and recently concluded France. This refers to the Garud exercise. Yes, it is a type of lab-grown mushroom known for its medicinal properties. It is not an extinct animal due to climate change, and also it is neither recently discovered fossil from the Dragon River in China. So therefore B is our correct answer. So the correct answer is B, that it is known for its medicinal property. It's a high-value parasitic fungus, and it has been formed along with nanogold particles to synthesize and make drug delivery more efficient process. Now let's move on. Consider the following statement with reference to the Commonwealth Games 2022. Countries which are outside the Commonwealth are not invited to take part in these games. 3x3 basketball, women's T20 cricket and para table tennis were included in this edition of the games. Now these Commonwealth Games, they mark solidarity between the countries who were previously the colonial countries under the Britain. Thus the 56 nation, they are divided into the 6 region, and they after every 4 years these Commonwealth Games are held, and these 2022 games were held in Birmingham, and countries which are outside the Commonwealth Games, they are not invited. So this is the correct statement, and yes, the 3x3 basketball and women T20s cricket and para table tennis, they were the new additions that were seen. In fact, the women's T20 cricket team, it was seen, it made its it again appeared in the edition post approximately 20 years, right? So both the statements are correct. Therefore, C will be our correct answer. You can read the explanation here. I'll move on to the next question. Consider the following statement regarding the National Automated Fingerprint Identification System. It assigns a unique 10-digit national fingerprint number to each person arrested for a crime. It assigns a 10-digit unique national fingerprint number to each person arrested for a crime. It is managed by National Crime Record Bureau. See, this National Automated Fingerprint Identification, it is going to be managed by the NCRB, which is the National Crime Record Bureau, and it will be the central agency taking care of this function. And yes, it is going to assign a 10-digit national fingerprint number to each person who is arrested for a particular crime. So both the statements here are correct, and therefore C will be our correct answer. You can read the explanation here. That Home Minister inaugurated this automated fingerprint identification system countrywide. It is a centralized and searchable database of the crime and crime-related fingerprint. NCRB is going to be the Central Fingerprint Bureau. It is going to assign a unique identity card, unique ID, which will consist of 10-digit national fingerprint number. And this unique ID, it will be used for the person's lifetime, and different crime registered under the FIRs will be linked to the same national fingerprint number. The next question of the day is regarding the Indian Antarctic Act 2022. Now this is for the first time after signing the Antarctic Treaty. After signing the Antarctic Treaty in 1990s, India had formed an act concerning this. So, whenever Parliament signs and ratifies a convention, it is supposed to make a legislation regarding this. India did not form any legislation post signing the Antarctic Treaty. Now, this is going to be the first domestic legislation which will concern the India's activities in the Antarctica. Yes, it does have the poignant provision for the crimes which will be committed by the Indians on expeditions in the Antarctica, and yes, it does prohibits any expedition without the permission by the or the written authorization of another party to the Antarctic Treaty, and it is applicable to both Indian citizens and the foreign citizens who are part of the Indian expeditions. So therefore, all the three statements are correct, and B will be our correct answer. So you can read the explanation here that yes, Parliament has passed the bill in 2022. It is going to be the first domestic legislation, and it is to give effect to the Antarctic Treaty provision, the Convention on the Conservation of the Antarctica and Antarctic Marine Living Resources, and the Protocol on the Environmental Protection to the Antarctic Treaty. It does prohibit the Indian expedition without any permission, and yes, it does extend the jurisdiction of Indian court to Antarctic and lay out the penal provision for the crimes on the continent by the Indian citizens, the foreign citizens who are part of the Indian expedition. It prohibits the activities such as mining, dredging, and activities that would threaten the pristine conditions of the continent. So the next question of the day is about which of the following types of batteries are covered under the Battery Waste Management Rules of 2022. Electric, portable, automotive, industrial batteries. All these batteries are covered under this rule, and we will see the detailed explanation of it. Since the correct answer has been asked, so D is our correct answer. Let's look at the detailed explanation. So recently, the government has notified this battery waste management rules of the year 2022. They are going to replace the batteries management and handling rules of 2001. The electric, portable, automotive, and industrial batteries are included in this, and this functions on the EPR. EPR. What is this EPR? It is Extended Producer's Responsibility. That means those who produce it are responsible for collecting it, for recycling it, etc., etc. So the provision of the rules 2022 also includes the recycling and the online portal for the management and registration purposes. All right, let's move on to the next question then. The ninth question of the day talks about the mineral security partnership. See, the post-COVID-19, we saw there was a high dependence on China, and there was a sort of blockade when it comes to the supply chain. So in order to flee the supply chain monopoly of China, and many of the initiatives were launched, and this mineral security partnership was one of this initiative led by not by the United Nations but by the United States, that aims to bolster the critical mineral supply chains For example, the rare earth metals and the other critical minerals such as the cobalt, nickel, etc., plutonium, etc., which are going to be futuristic minerals that are going to be used in the electric vehicles and clean energy, etc., etc. India is not one of its founding member. However, India has shown interest in being the member of the Mineral Security Partnership. Therefore, both the statements are incorrect statement. So which of the statement is correct? Neither of these statements. Therefore, D is going to be our correct answer. You can read the explanation here that it is a US-led partnership. There are 10 countries which are Australia, Canada, this is Canada, not Candad, Finland, France, Germany, Japan, Republic of Korea, which means South Korea, Sweden, UK, and European Commission. It does catalyzing the investment from the government and the private sector to the strategic opportunity, and it is a US-led initiative, and India is not a member of Mineral Security Partnership. Rather, it has only shown or expressed interest to be partner. Question number 10 talks about the central bank digital currency under the following, and you have to consider these statements and you have to tell which one is right and not. So it is a legal tender issue which is going to be issued by the central bank in the digital form. This is the correct statement. It appears as an asset on the central bank's balance sheet. Because this is going to be a currency or a legal tender or a fiat money that is going to be issued by the central bank, it will not be an asset, rather it will appear as a liability on the balance sheet of the central bank. Therefore, the second is the incorrect statement. First is the correct statement, and only one is the correct statement. Therefore, A is our answer. So you can read the explanation here that it is going to be a fiat currency, which is interchangeable with any other fiat currency. It will be at par with the cash. It is going to be transacted using wallet, and then it will enable the users to conduct both domestic and cross-border transaction, which will not require the third party or the bank. It is going to be a central bank currency in the digital form. It is going to utilize the what do we call it, blockchain technology, blockchain technology. So let's move on to the next question. With reference to the Kushiara River, which was in news recently, it forms a border between the India and Bangladesh, and it originates in the state of Meghalaya. Second statement is incorrect because it does not originate in the state of Meghalaya. Rather, it originates in the state of Nagaland. And yes, it does form boundary between the India and Bangladesh. So which one is the correct? Only B is the correct answer. So no, B, because correct has been asked. No, so this second statement is incorrect. So thus only one is the correct answer. A will be our correct answer. And it does form the border between the India and Bangladesh, and it's a distributary river in Bangladesh and Assam. It originates in Nagaland, and then it picks up the tributaries in Manipur, Mizoram, and Assam. It flows westward, forming the boundary between Assam, India, and Sylhet district of Bangladesh. The next question of the day is, consider the following statements regarding the GPS-aided geo-augmented navigation, that is GAGAN. It is an Indian satellite-based augmentation system which is jointly developed by the Airport Authority of India and ISRO. This is the correct statement. India is the only country to have such space-based augmented navigation. This is incorrect because India is not the only country. The USWAN this wide area network and the European Commission and the Japan, they all have their own navigation system. India is not the only country. India will be the fourth country to do so. Yes, it will allow the aircrafts to land in low visibility scenarios. That's correct, and it is mandatory for all the aircrafts to comply with the GAGAN navigation. So therefore, second is our incorrect statement. 1 and 3 is our correct statement. So thus A will be our correct answer. And because not correct has been asked, so second is not correct. So C will be our correct answer. C is our correct answer. You can read the explanation here. Question number 13, see, you can read the explanation. Question number 13 talks about, consider the following statements regarding the recently reported dwarfing of rice plant. It is caused by the southern rice black-streaked dwarf virus, and it is transmitted from one crop to another through the white-backed plant hopper. See, dwarfing of rice plants means that the height decreases due to some infection. Mostly it is the virus infection. So this southern rice black streak dwarf virus, it is a non-enveloped non-enveloped virus that was first reported in Fiji, and yes, it causes the dwarfing of plant. However, the virus, it utilizes vector for its transmission, which is the white back plant hopper. So therefore both the statements are correct. C will be our correct answer. You can read the explanation here that it's a novel species that was found from Fiji. It was first reported in 2001 and it has been named after the southern China. Next question of the day is with reference to the term orphan crops, sometimes seen in news, consider the following statement. These are the neglected and underutilized crops which are rarely traded around the world. Yes, orphan crops are such crops, they are not traded internationally, they are grown locally. They are usually adapted to grow well in harsh conditions. Yes, that's correct. So both the statements are correct. Therefore, C will be our correct answer because correct statement has been asked. So you see, these are the nutritious local food crop that can play a crucial role in combating hunger and the food security. These are not traded internationally, but they have adapted themselves to grow in the harsh climate, harsh weather conditions, right? The next question of the day is about India is to develop two hydropower projects, namely the West Seti hydropower projects and the Seti River hydropower project, in which of the following neighboring countries? It is Nepal. So India is going to develop this West Seti hydropower project in Nepal. So let's see few statements about the West Seti. It is going to, this is the wrong slide, please neglect it. So yes, India is going to develop West Seti in Nepal. It originates from the glaciers around the twin peak of the API and Nampa on south facing slopes of the main Himalayas, and then it joins the Gagra in India. The next question of the day is with reference to the Gramin Udyami project, consider the following statement. It aims to train tribal youth in multiple skills. That's correct. The project is being implemented in all northeastern states in India. That's incorrect. The project is going to be implemented in the 6 states across India. Alright, so now let's see. So since second statement is incorrect, so only one is our correct answer. A is our correct answer. So yes, it aims to train the tribal students in Madhya Pradesh and Jharkhand. The project currently is being implemented in 6 states in Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Jharkhand. Because there is a dire need to increase the ownership at the tribal level so that there is awareness built around such scheme and initiatives, and the objective of the initiative is to increase the rural economy, enhance the employability of the tribal youth, reduce the forced migration from the tribal region to urban areas, and conserve the natural resources. The next question of the day is about the white rot fungus Trametis maxima IIPLC 32 that was seen in the news recently in the context of bioremediation, nitrogen fixation, species diversification and astrobiology. The correct answer is bioremediation. Alright, now let's see the explanation. CSIR-IAP, it has identified this white rot fungus by the name Trametis maxima IIPLC 32, which has the potential to cause the microbial remediation. The bioremediation of pyrene. Pyrene is a substance, it's an organic substance. It consists of the 4 benzene ring, and benzene looks something like this, and this is the resonance ring. So it consists of the 4 benzene ring, probably like this. So this is what the pyrene is. But this is not the structure of pyrene. Pyrene has a linear assemblance of this benzene ring. So this is how the pyrene look like. Because there is a circulation of the bond, that's why we put the resonate ring in the center. All the organic chemistry students would understand. So this is how the structure of the pyrene look like. And this pyrene is highly toxic and it consists of PAH. And these PAH, they are carcinogenic and they are mutagenic in nature. That means cancer causing and mutation causing. So mutation means any change in the base pairs of the nucleic acids in the DNA or the RNA of an organism that leads to change in the physiographic expression of the gene that would alter the the physical appearance or the physical expression of the gene, that is phenotype. Genotype is the gene makeup of an organism, and phenotype is the physical appearance of that genotype or that gene expression. So yes, it gets lodged into the environmental pollution, necessitating the adequate remediation of the contaminated environmental matrices. And these are the class of the aromatic hydrocarbons that naturally occurs in the coal, crude oil and gasoline. So A was our correct answer. We'll move on to the next question. Question number 17 talks about, with reference to the recently enacted Chemical Procedure Identification Act of 2022, consider the following statements. It replaces the Identification of the Prisoners Act 1920, which allows the police officers to collect certain identifiable information of the convicts under the act. And so this is the correct statement. The first one is the correct statement, that it does replaces the Prisoners Act of 1920, certain provisions in the act which allow the officers to collect the certain identifiable information of the convict. The second statement, however, is wrong, because any person who is cannot refuse to give data citing the violation of the right to privacy. I mean the fingerprints, the blood samples, etc., they can be collected from the convict, and this will not be against the fundamental rights that are enshrined in the Article 22 of our Constitution, which prevents or which prohibits the self-incrimination. So this is not against the fundamental right. So second statement is incorrect. The data once collected will be retained in digital or electronic form for 75 years by the NCRB. NCRB is going to be the nodal agency. So second is the incorrect statement, and correct statement has been asked. So 1 and 3 is the correct statement. B is our answer. You can read the explanation here. That yes, the act replaces the 1920 Prisoners Act, and NCRB is going to be the central agency. Nobody can refuse or resist the data collection, which will be an offense. And yes, it will be kept in the digital or electronic form for the 75 years. Question number talks about, recently a man-made wetland in the Tirunelveli, which is in Tamil Nadu. It was designated as a Ramsar site. This is the largest reserve for breeding resident and migratory water birds in the South India, and an important bird and biodiversity area forming part of the Central Asian flyway. The painted stork is the major attraction in this sanctuary. Which of the following wetland is being referred to in the above passage? The correct answer is the Koonthankulam, which is also, and this led 10 wetlands were added to the list, and this has led to increase in the number of the wetlands to 64, and this passage refers to the Koonthankulam Ramsar site, which is the site for the breeding resident and also for the migratory birds, and it forms an important part of the Central Asian flyway. And yes, the painted stork is the major attraction in this sanctuary. The site is in the state of Tamil Nadu. So you can read the explanation here, that along with this, the Nanda Lake in the Goa, the Satkosia Gorge in Odisha, and the Gulf of Mannar has also been designated as the Ramsar site. So let's move on to the next question then. Question number 19 talks about, with reference to the coffee board in India, consider the following statements. The coffee board is a statutory board which is formed under the Coffee Act of 1942. It is attached to the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. This is incorrect. This is MCI, that is Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Yes, it controls the complete marketing of the coffee in India and abroad. Not the complete, but there is a pooling system. Prior to the passage of the Act, and in fact during the British colonial rule when the Act was passed, this Coffee Act, it had actually monopoly over the complete marketing of the coffee in India in order to boost the coffee marketing and also the benefits, the profit in the coffee industry. However, right now it does not completely controls the marketing. So there is a pooling system. Therefore, 2 and 3 is our incorrect statement and first is our correct. Therefore, A will be our correct answer. So, A is the correct answer, and recently Ministry of Commerce and Industry has been planning to replace this 80 years old Coffee Act with the new Coffee Act Promotion and Development Bill 2022, which has been listed, this monsoon session has already gone. Now, before 1991, that is before liberalization, the coffee board, it had the complete monopoly, but post-liberalization, when the LPG reforms were passed, a pooling system was introduced in the regulation and the marketing of the coffee in India and also abroad. The next question of the day is about, which of the following statement best describes the term stable coins? Now, stable coins are basically a type of a cryptocurrency. And recently, these stable coins, they were quite, they had shown the volatility contrary to their name. So therefore, B is our correct answer. So these are a cryptocurrency whose value is pegged to the price of another asset, which can be US, which can be US dollar, the euros, and it is gold also, and it can be oil sometimes, right? So B is the correct answer. It is a cryptocurrency and it is pegged to the value of dollar, pound, euro, gold and oil. These assets are popular in the economics where official currency is rapidly losing its value. For example, the Venezuela, which saw the heights of inflation. Question number 21 talks about which of the following statement is correct regarding the forever chemicals. These are man-made chemicals that remain in the equivalent for in the environment, not equivalent, but in environment for a long period of time. These are radioactive elements that occur along with the natural sources such as sand. They are naturally occurring chemicals that have the tendency to deplete. Basically, they are the gases that produce as a result of large scale of dumping of waste in the landfill. See, these forever chemicals implies something that remains in environment for a very long time. So therefore, if a naturally occurring chemical is there, it can be degraded because it's naturally occurring and there has to be an antagonist for this. But when it comes to the man-made, there are few instances where these man-made substances can be biodegradable. So therefore, these are known as the forever chemicals because they are man-made and they remain in the environment for a long time. So you can read the explanation here. So these forever chemicals, they do not break down and they remain in the environment. So recently what happens, these are used for manufacturing the non-stick cookware. So what happened, they were found in the environment, in water, etc., etc. 1960s, when they were discovered for the first time, it made a revolution in the cooking wares, because these were known in the manufacturing of the non-sticky pans and etc., etc. Let's move on to the next question. The term moonlighting, recently seen in the news, it refers to a second job taken outside one's working hour as a secondary source of income. A recent phenomenon of spurt in jobs of night shifts in the metro cities of India, a festival glorifying the beauty of Taj Mahal and other such monuments made of white marble, a short-lived light, color or change in the appearance on the surface of the moon. Now what happens, this moonlighting phenomena was recently in news because there have been many instances where the people who are working currently in an economic establishment have started to work in another economic establishment without the permission of their previous owner or their current owner. Now what happens, this is an unethical practice according to many of the economic establishment. For example, the Infosys. Now what happened, the Swiggy has recently allowed its worker for this in its industrial policy for to work outside its establishment to any other establishment. So this moonlighting is basically working in another establishment while you are working in another, in one establishment. So this was in news recently. So therefore A is our correct answer. So you can read the explanation here. Question number 23 talks about the CDIRA, which is Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. Now this was launched by our Prime Minister in the year 2019 alongside the United Nations Climate Action Summit. This is the correct statement. It is headquartered in New Delhi. That is also correct. Recently, the European Investment Bank has joined the CDRI. Yes, European Investment Bank had shown interest in joining the CDRI and yes, it has joined. So all three statements are correct. Therefore, D will be our correct answer. So European Investment Bank has joined the CDRI, which was launched at United Nations Climate Summit in the year 2019. Basically, it allows its member to share the knowledge and resources and help countries to meet the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. It does not have a funding purpose. It does not provide funding per se. It's only an exchange of information and the views and resources platform. It is headquartered in New Delhi. And yes, CDRI membership supports the implementation of the EIB adaptation plan, which was announced in the COP26 Glasgow, UK. Question number 24 talks about which of the following statements best describes the cryptojacking. It is cyber attack wherein a computing device is hijacking and controlled by the investigation agencies to legally check digital ledger of the cryptocurrency. It is a threat that embeds itself within a computer or mobile device, then uses it to illicitly trade in cryptocurrency. It is a computer attack wherein a computing device is hijacked and controlled by the attacker and its resources are used to illicitly mine cryptocurrency. It is a threat that embeds itself within a computer or mobile device, then uses it to destroy cryptocurrency. So recently there was a spurt that was seen in the cases of the cryptocurrency, and they increased by 30%. So what is cryptocurrency? Basically, it's a cyber attack that in which the computing device is hijacked, and then the attacker controls the computing device and its resources, which are then used to illicitly mine the cryptocurrency. So therefore C will be our correct answer, and you can read the explanation here. The first commercial space situational awareness observatory is being set up in which of the following states? Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim and Punjab. In the Garhwal region of the Uttarakhand, the first SSA, which is Space Situational Awareness Observatory, is being set up, and this observatory, it aims at observing the sky for the debris, etc., etc. So this is going to be established in the state of Uttarakhand, Garhwal region, and India has got its first space situational awareness observatory in the state of Uttarakhand. So you can read the explanation here. It has been placed in the low Earth orbit. The observatory is going to monitor the activities that are going to take place in the space, and they are going to look out for the military satellites, space debris, etc., etc. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoy this session. Thank you so much for watching Tarun IAS. Have a nice day.